beg your pardon, dear?
Well, I would have thought that was obvious, dear. I'm cleaning my glasses.
Oh, why exactly are we dressed like this?
Well, dear old Dominator Rago, lovely boy, yes, wanted us to cosplay. Is that the right term?
I believe so.
It's Hinge and Bracket, so here we are.
Ah, I see. Though I think the piano might have been a mistake. You can't get into the kitchen. Though I do like your hat.
Do you, dear? Why, thank you. But yours is a little garish, I feel.
Well, thank you. Anyway, don't you think we should be getting on?
Yes, quite right, dear. Ahem. Ladies or gentlemen, with lemon in their tea and cream in their horns, it's episode 9 of Round the Archives.
A rather different prospect for those dear ladies of Stackton Trestle on 2 in 45 minutes, as Councillor Evadne Hinge is finally elected mayor. Now here's Ludovic Kennedy and his guests with Did You See?
We are ladies of breed and resume. Our ideals unchangeable come what may. We may see the fashion that will represent successful ladies and me. Piccadilly, Piccadilly, the playground of the day. Piccadilly, Piccadilly, where the traffic goes one way. In the daytime, you'll see lovely brunettes, but at nighttime,
Hello. Oh, I really must stop doing that voice.
It's really bad.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to episode 9.
Yes,
Nearly into double
episode
figures
9, gosh.
of Round the Archives.
Yes.
I'm Andrew.
I'm Lisa.
Yeah, we know that.
Yeah, you should know that by now if you've been paying attention.
I haven't. What do we have left over from last time? Not a lot,
Not
really.
really, no.
You did manage to miscalculate your own birthday.
I did, yes.
Didn't you?
I might have been a few days older than I said I was.
Yeah, well, that
Or
was
younger.
that was for the first episode of Who Done It. You
Yes.
were a couple of days out with how old you would
Yes.
really be. We do have the tie-up of the cliffhanger from last time.
Oh, the mysterious...
Yes, what had happened to Warren's copy of Toby and Lucy? Had it been half-inched by Alan Cumming? Well,
And
the
had
answer
it?
is no.
Right.
Because Warren said that he got an email later from the airline saying he'd left the book on the plane. And was it of value? I like that. Was it of value?
Because it was signed by the author.
I'm slightly insulted that they have to ask, was it of value? But,
Of course it was for
but
value.
they've sent it on to him and he's got it back. So,
So, Alan Cummings, if you're listening, you can have a copy.
yes,
Just ask.
but it's still £5. He's not getting it for free.
He might get you a series.
I doubt that very much. But, yes, what huge pile of stuff has arrived recently?
I don't know. There's quite a lot of everything.
We've got
for
lots of piles arrived,
Yes.
but our biggest pile is our pile of Hinge and Bracket
Yes.
materials, isn't it?
Yes, there's a lot of Hinge and Bracket
And
materials.
blimey, we've got a lot of Hinge and Bracket stuff all of a sudden.
Yes.
Um,
Slightly over obsessed with.
Yes, we've got DVDs, we've got books, we've got a pile of CDs which virtually go halfway up my leg.
Yes.
But let's talk about Hinge and Bracket then,
Yes.
and who are they and why are they so wonderful?
Oh, they are just. When you're a child and you see Hinge and Bracket.
Hang on, who are Hinge and Bracket? First of all, you better explain.
Dame Hilde Bracket
Mm-hmm.
and Dr. Evadne Hinge. What's her full name?
Oh, blimey, I'm going to have to look that up now.
It's in the book. Hang on.
Is it?
Yeah, it's in the book.
Yes,
We have Dr. Hinge's autobiography.
Dr. Evadne Mona Montpellier Hinge.
Yes.
And although sometimes she does get extra middle names,
She does.
which we'll go through in a bit. Yes.
But they're a popular singing duo.
Yes. So they're basically oldish ladies, would you say? Older ladies.
Older ladies.
Who
Getting
are
towards elderly.
Yes, who are rather talented in the sort of light opera.
Yes, sort of the Gilbert and Sullivan kind of range.
And they did appear 3 times on
The Good Old Days.
The Good Old Days, so it does link back to last time. But they're played by George Logan and Patrick Fife.
Yes, or Patrick Fife and George Logan.
All right, get it the right way around.
If we're doing it,
if
we're doing Hinge and Bracket. Hinge is George Logan and Dame Hilda is Patrick Fife,
right,
who is sadly no longer with us.
Yes, but yes, the radio stuff we've got is The Enchanting World of Hinge and Bracket, which ran from 1977 to 79. I mean, we've already said, they're actually. Would you call them a drag act or not? I mean, they're not really making.
They're not making. I don't know. It depends on your definition of a drag act. They are a drag act simply for the fact they're men dressed up as women. But that goes back quite a long way anyway, because you get all the stuff in the 30s with I've now forgotten his name. Les Dawson.
Les Dawson.
Sissy and Ada on.
Oh dear!
We'll come back to that when I remember who he is.
It'll come back, don't worry. But there's a brilliant website, Hinge and Bracket Official.
Yes, if you're at all interested in Hinge and Bracket, we urge you to go to this website because it's wonderful. It's very in depth,
absolutely full of everything you'd ever want to know. There's photographs, press cuttings. I do like the press cutting where somebody's written into a newspaper. What is it? Can you settle an argument?
Yes.
What is it? Which way round
my
is
husband
it?
And
my husband and I disagree.
Yes.
And
it's not the Queen, by the way.
No, it's some woman's written in to the newspaper, and one of them insists that they're women, and the other one insists that they're blokes.
Yes.
And the newspaper does actually say which is right. But yes, Hinge and Bracket Official is wonderful. There's also the Dear Ladies channel on YouTube, which is, I believe, run by the same chap. What was his name?
Paul Dumford.
Paul Dumford.
Thank you, Paul.
Hello, Paul Dumford.
For sending all the CDs to us in tip-top, brilliant condition. And
it was a huge box when it arrived, wasn't it?
Yes, the man just sort of the courier thrust it.
Well, we were hoping it was going to arrive on the back of Evadne's trailer that she has on the back of her tricycle, because she goes up the road and things fall out. Yes, it was a continual joke.
But I would say if you are at all interested in Hinge and Bracket, there's some CDs available on the website, which you can't get anywhere else.
Yes.
And also, if you want to see any of Dear Ladies, you can watch it on YouTube. But do the right thing and buy the DVD.
There's a note here on the Wikipedia entry, which I think Paul Dunford probably edits or wrote himself, because a lot of it is familiar from the actual other site. That the Enchanting World series was produced by James Casey, and on the first day he was completely fooled and thought they were just 2 old ladies.
Wow.
The next day, Mike Craig, who scripted it, pointed out that they were actually 2 blokes.
Yeah.
So even the producer of their radio stuff was a little confused.
Say though, I mean, they're very talented singers.
Oh yes, technically they are.
They're
very good.
Men, they get really high sometimes.
Yeah, because they do some Gilbert and Sullivan stuff with Peter Pratt. And Peter Pratt is what, Doily Cart?
Doily Cart, yes.
And apart from playing the Master in The Deadly Assassin. It's very weird to see a CD which credits Peter Pratt playing Peter Pratt.
Yes.
But they're doing some Gilbert and Sullivan stuff, and they are going
really complicated.
Sort of 19 to the dozen.
Yeah, you're listening to it and you sort of lose track of it because it's so
they're
fast.
Belting it out.
Yeah.
And he's a professional, and they're keeping pace with him.
They are keeping pace with him,
And they're very, very good.
I mean, I don't know if multiple takes were needed.
Well, I don't know, but
it's very good.
But yes,
very good.
The second radio series is Random Jottings of Hinge and Bracket. That's 1982 to 1989. That's scripted by Gerald Frau. Oh, we should say about Maud as well, their housekeeper.
Yes. I haven't heard much of Maud, but I quite like her.
Yes, Maud initially is played by Daphne Hurd.
Yes. who plays
who's Grandma Tyler in Doctor Who: Image of the Fendal. Yes. And she's basically doing the same voice, isn't it? So it's really weird that she'll come in and she always breaks stuff. So there's this long explanation about why she's broken things. Door handles
off a car and the car door
and windows, step ladders, tables.
I haven't heard much yet, apart from the car door.
She quite likes Dame Hilda. She's not so keen on Dr. Evadne, so she'll come in and say, "Good morning, Dame Hilda, Doctor." as though she's done something wrong.
Yes.
But
she was disappointed in the one we were listening to because there was a pigeon, wasn't there?
Yeah, so she doesn't like pigeons.
Pigeon went into the sitting room and...
I mean, we've barely scraped the surface of these radio ones. There's so much to listen to.
Lots and lots to listen to.
But then Daphne Hurd dies in 1983 and Jean Haywood takes over as Maud. And there's a note here. She's also got a sister Gudrun played by Liz Smith as well.
Okay.
So I haven't heard any of those.
Yeah.
But again, you get some very good guest stars.
You do.
Rosie's scratching on the
She's got a foot stuck. So she's free. It's fine.
On the sofa. Is it Norman somebody over the garden wall?
Yeah, Norman.
It's not Norman Bates, is it?
We'll come back to it. Stop interrupting.
If you hold that, I'm going to start typing anything. There we go. Keep going. Right. But let's talk about Dear Ladies, which is what we're supposed to be.
So they're living in the village of Stacton Trestle.
Stacton Trestle.
Yeah, which is...
it's a wonderful English name.
It is. So it's a proper... sort of Middle Ages name, isn't it? Doomsday Book name.
Yeah, it's actually based on a real village, isn't it?
It is.
So
yes.
It's
where Patrick Fife was born.
Lived, or was. Well,
I thought you said he was born there.
He was born there. Well, he must have lived there.
He lived there as well, but.
I'm going to look that up. Yeah. But, where were we? Yes, Dear Ladies is 1983. First broadcast on the 15th of March, which was a Tuesday.
Yeah.
BBC One's had a... What was it? A budget
that day, wasn't it?
Nationwide budget special. So all the kids' programmes on BBC One go over to BBC Two. Doctor Who that night is The King's Demons Part 1. But on BBC Two... You've got, all the kids' programmes. Then you go into the Waltons, Fantastic Voyage.
Okay.
That's just like Invisible Enemy, really. Russell Harty.
Yes.
Kenny Everett and Mike Harding, or as it says on here, Mike Hard.
Okay.
Just Another Day, series of films. This one's about Battersea Dogs Home, and then Dear Ladies, Look After the Pennies. Is 5 minutes past 10, which is quite,
really odd time.
Quite late, really. I'd have thought that was on at 9 o'clock.
Yeah, but it feels more family oriented.
It says a glimpse behind the scenes of village life in Stacton Trestle, starring Dr. Evadne Hinge and Dame Hilda Brackett. A financial crisis at Utopia Limited. That's where they live.
Yes, that's their house.
Prompts some novel ideas for economies and money-making escapades. Yes. Now, why is it called Utopia Limited?
Utopia Limited is, if you bear with me, because I now have to sign back onto the tablet because it's logged me off.
Let's see if I can beat you.
It's a Gilbert and Sullivan operetta.
Yes.
Utopia Limited, or The Flowers of Progress, is a Savoy opera with music by Arthur Sullivan and libretto by W.S. Gilbert. It's the second to last of Gilbert and Sullivan's 4 collaborations, and it premiered on the 7th of October 1893.
Oh, blimey.
For a run of 245 performances. It wasn't really very successful. It's not performed as much because it's got too big a cast, basically.
Norman Evans over the garden wall.
God's sake.
Thank you, I knew we'd get there.
Yeah, because basically it's one that's where did it say that? I saw that a minute ago. Why can't I see it now? That's really annoying. It's got something like 145 chorus, which not only needs a big stage, is a huge expense as well, isn't it? So
Stacton Trestle, by the way, the name derives from the real village Acton Trestle.
Acton Trestle, right.
That's it, there you go.
Okay, that's in Staffordshire, did you say?
That's Staffordshire, yes.
Yeah.
Whereas Stackton Trestle is, I think, is actually Cheshire, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Something like that.
Something like that, she said. What are you looking at?
I'm still trying to work out how many people are meant to be in this operetta.
Oh, loads, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I saw it a minute ago and now I can't find it again. Which is always the way when you're actually trying to make a point.
But I wanted to say Stackton Trestle is a very well chosen name because it sounds like the furniture in a village hall. Mm-hmm. Trestle tables and stacking the chairs. And I've spent a lot of time in village halls, and I'm very, very used to having to put all the chairs away after sort of village events and things like that. Yeah. But no,
I will find it.
Oh, Evadne's middle names.
Yeah.
Start to include Pauline, Reenie, Albuquerque, Liversedge,
right,
and later on .com.
Okay.
It does sound a bit like Moriarty in the Goon Show, who would always get these ridiculous, like sort of Jim Wins Moriarty,
right?
Really ridiculous surnames.
Okay.
But no, is that enough?
No, that's Well, yeah. Anyway, it's a Gilbert and Sullivan operetta.
Yes. Thank you.
That's all you really need to know.
Yeah.
It's not one of their more successful ones, not the Mikado.
Oh, Stackton Trestle lies 17 miles from Bury St Edmunds as the crow flies, quote, although there haven't been a lot of crows this year.
Right. Okay.
According to Dame Hilda, I believe.
Yes.
But yeah, it's a interesting series, I think, because it's quite lightly comic.
Yes.
There's some very, very clever double entendres, though.
Yes. Or maybe we just have dirty minds, but
yes, the dirtier the mind you've got, I think
the more it works.
I think the better, really.
Yeah. But the reason I say it feels like a family show is that children can watch it and they'll just laugh at the silly ladies. They won't get any of the jokes. They won't get any of the sort of naughtiness. But I don't know. I think when you're a child, maybe you don't get Hinge and Bracket. Really, I think you get them more when you get older because you appreciate how much has gone into them.
Yes.
Because when you're a child, they're just two sort of slightly boring old ladies that play the piano and sing.
Okay. Well, we should say about sort of production on Dear Ladies.
Yeah.
Because it is, well, I say sort of scripted by Giles Brandreth.
Yes.
Because there's a DVD extra with George Logan,
yeah.
and he says about the scripting process, and it was more of a collaboration between everybody, wasn't it? So although it says scripted by Giles Brandreth, it's Fife and Logan have a go, and the producer does as well.
Yeah.
We should say about the producer director team, which is Peter Risdale Scott and Mike Stevens. And one of the very earliest things they both worked on was Emu's Broadcasting Company. Is it company or corporation?
I don't know, is it?
Emu's Broadcasting Company. Ah, there we go. So yeah, thank you. But yeah, Mike Stevens has got a sort of one of these long careers in comedy. So you've got EBC One, Dear Ladies. Hell's Bells, which I didn't know what it was, but you said it was a...
I think it's Derek Nimmo being
Derek
a
Nimmo. Derek Nimmo being what?
A vicar.
Oh, right.
He's always a vicar.
I thought you said something else. Heidi High, Clarence, First of the Summer Wine, Hello, Hello, Are You Being Served Again?
Grace and Favour.
Or what's really called Grace and Favour. So yeah, that's quite a good foot in comedy, really.
Well, yeah, depends on your point of view, really. Yeah.
Well, some of it's better than others.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we're on to series 2 of Dear Ladies now, aren't we?
We are, yes.
And there's a few... What are the other things on them? Masterclass or something?
There's a masterclass which teaches you how to be a performer.
All right, and there's the gala evenings.
The gala evenings, yes. They actually did proper concerts at opera houses and things.
Ooh, you're going to get it out?
Yeah, I'll get it out.
Get it out and let's have a look. Hey.
I would do if it wasn't stuck.
Come along, dear. Use some.
Right, yes. So
use some elbow grease.
It says, after many years of entertaining the inhabitants of Stackton Trestle with their gala concerts, Dame Hilda Brackett and Dr. Evadne Hinge were thrilled to be invited by the BBC to take their very individual style of concert performance to a wider audience. These events, recorded between 1977 and 1981 at the Royal Hall, Harrogate, and the Opera House, Buxton, featured the Dear Ladies with full orchestral...
Buxton, that's the blue cat in...
yeah, I know.
In
and choral support. Choral support.
Chloral?
Choral support.
Chloroform.
Yes. The ladies perform a wide range of music from Gilbert and Sullivan to Verdi. Of course, Dr. Hinge has a few pithy remarks to make why Dame Hilda remains her usual irrepressible self.
I have to say about Dear Ladies as well. Brilliant use of silly sound effects.
Oh, yes.
You've got the telephone, which just makes very stupid noises. You've got the garage loudspeaker, which just does this really weird noise. You've got the trailer on the back of the tricycle. Yeah, you go doing when the little arrow indicator pops up, and it's just very, very silly. It just appeals to me, that sort of slightly over the top sort of sound effects stuff. But yeah, we still have a bit more. Well, we have a lot more to get through. Yes. I mean, you've looked at the books, haven't you?
Yes, yes, we've got
2 books.
2 books. Evadne's Odyssey, Book 1, The Naked Doctor, by Dr. Evadne Hinge and as told to George Logan. And that's basically up to the age of 18.
All right.
It's about how she learned to be a musician.
Is there a second volume coming out?
Apparently so, but it's no sign of it at the moment.
Okay,
but we'll see. We shall see. And The Memories of Dame Hilda Brackett, One Little Maid.
Oh, is that a sort of fictional thing about her family? Is it or something?
It's all about her life story and family and things. Yeah.
It's just interesting what sort of weird odds and ends you can find, actually.
But Dr. Hinge's book is more recent.
Yeah, I was going to say that's quite a new one. The Hilda Brackett book looks
from about 1983.
Looks a bit older. Yes. Oh, that'll be roughly the time of Dear Ladies then.
Yes.
An excuse to get some merchandise out. Quite right too. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we very much enjoyed what we've seen.
Yeah, it's great fun, and it sort of goes to that basic sitcom form of a long-suffering one, which is Dr. Hinge, and a slightly annoying one that gets their way all the time.
Yes, it's quite a sort of classic sort of duo, isn't it? Yeah.
And that goes back to Steptoe. You can see it now with Big Bang Theory. Yeah. So in essence, Dame Hilda Brackett is Sheldon.
Oh, that's an interesting thing.
But without the annoying nerdiness.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Not annoying, but you know, for the character, without the character's traits. Because she always gets her own way. And Sheldon always gets his own way.
All right, and then Dr. Hinge will just do a look into camera like she's being put upon. Yes. Yeah. Yes. But there we go.
She's very hard to impersonate because it's all done with facial expressions.
Anyway, I think we'll draw that to a close. But I mean, I've very much enjoyed what we've seen and looking forward to seeing some more. Yes. And now I think we'll go over to have the second half of Fiona's interview from Scotland, as done by young Warren, and then more stuff to come.
We have something good coming up.
Yes. See you soon.
Bye-bye.
He's married.
So how do you look at something then when they take a character out of human history, say a dictator of some kind?
Oh God, where's this going?
Where's this going? Oh, you tell me where that's going, and I'll tell you if you're on the right tracks. He is Niebuhr.
Oh, that was my ex-husband. He used to quote. He didn't really see the Tomorrow People, but that was the one line he always used to quote out. No, Mike, he's not Hitler. He's Niebuhr from the planet Fashion.
Yes. Is that a step too far then in kids' science fiction?
Oh, I remember the special effects were I remember the eyeball melting down the cheek. That was quite a step. Almost. The one that was a step too far, I thought, for children, and this comes up in Andy Davison's brilliant book Jaunt, was the one with the Russian spy, and they actually blow her up at the end, and it was the whole of those 2 episodes was set up that you think that Pavla was going to be the new Tomorrow person, and then right at the end she jumps out the window and explodes, and that was children's tea time entertainment. So I think that was too far over the line compared. I was shocked at that. The same way I was shocked at the end of Blake 7. I still can't believe they killed everyone off at the end of Blake 7. I think therapy for that.
Yeah, it's like the Doom Watch, isn't it?
Kill Robert Powell. No,
Robert Powell's deactivating the bomb. Robert Powell's a new up-and-coming star.
Yeah.
He's the heartthrob of the series.
Yeah.
Oh,
what do you do?
We'll kill him.
Yeah.
Just going to put the ratings up. We'll be like, no. Yeah.
But no, it's an interesting idea that somebody as evil as Hitler, make him inhuman literally by making him an alien, goes some way to explaining how he could do some of the things he could do.
Funny how reality at the moment...
well, because they were saying at the time of the last American election is that Trump being president disproves time travel, because surely someone would have come back and have assassinated him.
I do like your theory.
It's not mine. I saw that online somewhere, but
yeah.
But I just think, well, one step further down. Okay, they haven't come back yet and assassinated him, because is he going to do something in the next 4 years that is really bad, and that's going to be what triggers the time travellers to come back and assassinate him?
Okay.
I've watched too much science fiction, haven't I?
I know why the rooms have padded walls now. I know why they put you on an island. Especially all the sharks going around the water on the outside.
We don't have sharks. We have dolphins.
Big dolphins, then.
And whales.
Whales.
And seals.
Jumping ahead in time.
Oh, God.
Just to round off. What do you watch now? What will make you put that television on and sit and watch something?
One of the things is because my original career choice was theatre, and I've been lucky enough to work with quite a few people, and I was doing various things down on the Isle of Wight and the theatres there, and at Salisbury, and then through doing the Doctor Who conventions, I tend to get a copy of the Radio Times, and it's going back to what I said about the Tory people, I'll look in the cast list in the Radio Times, and if I see somebody in there, then I will watch something because of who's in it very often. Subject matter wise, if it is sort of sci-fi fantasy, then we watch Fringe, Grimm, quite a few of the American ones.
Do you think America's left us behind?
Yes. Yeah.
Because we seem to be burbling along with Who, but
and
nothing
else.
else.
Yeah. I think that for something that started in '63, I know we have the dark, like those years when there was nothing on the television, and then it's come back with this huge explosion. But we haven't really done anything else.
Blake Seven's gone.
Blake's gone. Yeah. Tory people's gone.
Sold to America. Donald Trump came back though, because he is me more. With his droopy eye.
Yeah. There's not much for the British. The British television's doing period dramas. It was interesting. There's something today with. We watched Westworld recently, the American one based on the film.
Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, and the girl that plays the lady from the bar in that. British actor, but she's black. She was saying today that she can't get roles in her native Britain because at the moment virtually everything is period drama, and although we have had black people, coloured people in this country for hundreds of years, they don't feature in historical dramas, so she can't get work over here. So it seems to be that we're either doing historical drama or detective dramas or reality TV. We don't seem to have the creativity
to push that bubble
that
open.
we used to have. I think the 70s was... I know there's a bit of a sort of, I don't know, hanging over the 70s with what's been going on with some of the famous people, and it sort of put a cloud over everything in the 70s, but the television output in the 70s, it was so creative, which we just seem to be stagnating now.
Well, yeah, you look at somewhere like Network, I think they take all my wages.
Yes!
You look at it, it's a niche area, but
Yeah.
I'm discovering programmes like, I've just finished season 4 of New Scotland Yard in the 70s. It's great. It's John Carlyle and John Woodvine.
Yeah.
And they're polar opposites, and it's brilliant. It's good fun. But there are things to do. You can dip into things like that, especially when you... Oh, I remember that. Because you'll go, I don't know if you're like me when you buy... What are you like when you buy your DVDs? Do you go, oh, I remember watching that. I wonder if it's as good as I remember it being. Got to be careful with that.
Well, funny if you say that, I've recently bought A Traveller in Time by Alison Utley. This goes back to the Troy People, because a guest actor in the Troy People was Simon Gibbs Kent, who died tragically young, and he was gorgeous. And he's in that, and that's about a girl from modern day, but obviously it's late 70s, early 80s it was made, and she travels back to the time of Mary Queen of Scots, and she's part of the Babington plot to rescue Mary Queen of Scots. And I remember this on the original showing. It's time travel again, and yet I watched the first 3 episodes only a couple of days ago, and it's so slow. We've got so used to modern television now is short scenes, and they just switch from scene to scene, and it's snaps. But like in the first episode, virtually nothing happened. She arrived at her aunts and uncles and was seeing ghosts, and that was half an hour of television. What happened? Nothing happened in that episode. So, it's, and then there's I've watched quite a lot of old children's things, and not just children, but Crown Court. Oh, I'm making my way through Crown Court, and it's amazing who turns up.
Andrew and Lisa are great fans of Crown Court. I've got a couple of volumes. I haven't got as many as I haven't got. I think they're up to date, volume 7 or 8, aren't they?
I'm up to 5.
But the faces.
But nothing actually happens. It's just people in a court talking. Mm-hmm. There's no... Nowadays, if you did something like that, you have everything done in flashback and voiceovers. Yeah. But now it's just people standing in the witness box giving evidence.
Yeah. And it's amazingly accurate.
But I can remember it. On days when I was off school or in school holidays, and it was on at lunchtimes. It was the same sort of slot that Emmerdale Farm used to be in. I liked Emmerdale Farm, but I don't like Emmerdale.
They dropped the farm and you go...
No, they got rid of Fraser.
They got rid of Fraser. What happened to his character? Did he go abroad?
Yeah, he went out to Spain after... he went out to Spain before the plane crash. Yeah. And then they came back, didn't they? And they were in the car, and
the controversial
Annie's husband was in the back of the car and didn't survive, but Annie and Joe went back to Spain.
And that was the last we ever heard of them.
Yeah, I think didn't they get killed off screen? I don't think Joe is with us anymore as a character.
No, he's not. No, he's not. No, yeah. It's a bit like the
I think that's one of Fraser's bugbears, isn't it, that they killed him off?
Yes. Yeah. It's a bit like some of the characters in The Archers. Less Mr. Tucker.
Oh dear.
He's yeah. Okay, Fiona. Yeah. Thank you for...
Oh God, is that it?
God, yeah. I take the lamp out of your eyes now. Thank you for letting us into your home and letting us into your life. And I can confirm, I am sat in the cottage. I am on the Isle of Skye.
And the sheep are looking at you through the fence.
The killer sheep. They're trying to get out through the fence.
No, our grass is greener.
Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate that. Thank you.
And thank you to Fiona for that lovely interview.
It was a very nice interview.
Thank you also to Warren for being our raving reporter. I never remember which way round to say that. But I think we should let him out more, don't you?
Do you?
Yeah, perhaps we should send him up and down the country.
Up and down,
talking
across.
to people. Yeah, I'm sure somebody must want to talk to him. But now we're very pleased to feature an exclusive piece.
This is
by Michael Seeley.
Yes.
Who is going to talk about his
author,
Michael Seeley.
Yes.
Who's going to talk about his book, Directed by Douglas Camfield.
Yes.
Which is coming out
sometime soon. It may already be out by the time
this podcast is
released.
released.
If it's not, go to...
It says it's due to be released May 2017.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
It doesn't specify a date. But if it hasn't been released by this time, and you haven't already pre-ordered it, please do order it, because you will make Matt West a very happy man.
Yes. But Michael's also written books about Doomwatch and Kit Pedler, which are also sitting on our pile over there.
You can also order those from Milk.
Yes.
They will also make Matt West very happy.
But yes, Douglas Camfield, I mean, he's generally regarded as one of the best directors the BBC and ITV ever had.
Yeah. He was a very good director. Yes.
And it's really weird to think he passed away 1984 now, so it's
more than 30.
I remember reading it in Doctor Who magazine,
long time ago.
Yeah. But it's about time a proper book was done about it.
And this will be a proper
book.
And
this is
very
much looking forward to this.
Yes.
I think Michael's done a lot of very, very good research for it, and in this piece he's going to just tell us about
what is involved,
the process of making such a wonderful book.
Yes, enjoy.
Okay, bye.
Right, are we sitting comfortably or are we doing the washing up? Well, whichever it is, it's awfully nice of Lisa and the other one, Mr. Lisa, to ask me if I'd like to talk about Douglas Camfield. Well, naturally, of course I would. I think the last time I ever spoke about anything was on a MIWK podcast years ago. It must have been 2012 at least. So I'm not actually quite used to talking and being recorded. Now that was for Prophets of Doom, which was a book I did about the TV show Doomwatch. I was probably just about finishing The Quest for Pedler, which was the Kit Pedler biography. Or that could have been a year later. I honestly can't remember at this juncture. But Quest for Pedler is quite a good jumping in point, because it was around about November 2012 or 2013 that I'd finished that, and it was being edited, and I was at work feeling a bit bereft, really. I'd spent about the best part of 2 years thinking Kit Pedler and Doomwatch, researching Kit Pedler and Doomwatch, and just putting together so many different pieces of research to sort of present a nice coherent life of the man, a life of the programme. And here I was sort of facing an empty nothing, and I didn't really want nothing. I wanted to do some more research and more digging. And Douglas Camfield was a name that just kept popping into my head every now and then. Because if you're a Doctor Who fan and you read lots of interviews of people who've worked with or for Douglas Camfield, they always seem to come up with something just a little bit extra. That's something a little bit more interesting about his approach to work and his approach to people. And I felt that here was a subject worth exploring. In fact, I was quite surprised that no one had actually done Douglas Camfield as a book before. At this point, I think Robert Holmes had a biography written about him, and I can't think of the others. Oh yes, of course, John Nathan Turner. How can I forget that one? And I think Verity Lambert was on the cards at that point. And I can't honestly think of any other television director who's had a biography written about him, unless it's one of those who end up doing sort of social commentary films. Again, names escape me. A lot of things escape me, my memory especially. Right, well, it's great having an idea, but it's another thing having permission. And when you're writing about someone's life, you need to get permission from the next of kin, which in Douglas Camfield's case was his only son, Jogs. His wife Sheila had died about 10 years before I started this project. He gave his blessing, and that was enough for me. Consider the case of Kit Pedler, there was a widow surviving and 4 children. And each of them gave their consent, and I spoke to all but one of them. And it was quite a very nice, heartwarming experience that they trusted a complete stranger, really, with the legacy of their father. And I hope I didn't let them down. It was a labour of love doing that book. Very challenging and very invigorating as well. And still available, by the way, from MIWK's website. So then, back on to Douglas Camfield. What came next? Between Jog saying yay and me meeting him down in Twickenham. Well, might sound a bit obvious. It's compiling a list of everything he's done. And that's easier said than done. Because if you look at, say, the Internet Movie Database and you whip up his list of productions, it's incomplete. Now, in 1980, he directed an all-film play for today called Number on End. But the IMDb will tell you that David Rose directed it, although David Rose was the producer. And that's the Z-Cars, David Rose, by the way, up at Pebble Mill at this point. Later to move on to Channel 4. Around about the same time, he did a series called Company and Co. Now, if you were watching television in 1981, I think this is, I could be wrong. I haven't got my notes around me, you see, so I'm relying on my very imperfect memory. If you weren't watching Company and Co., you were probably watching The Rockford Files, which was on at the same time on BBC One. You just probably had finished Blake 7, which was doing its 3rd series. Now, Company and Co., therefore, was on BBC Two. I have no idea what was on ITV at the time, probably something low the world. Hang on, it was Monday night, probably World in Action, or one of their comedies. They used to do a half-hour comedy strand at that time, didn't they? The Happy Apple springs to mind. Company and Co. is a very strange series about a series of sort of 3 bar singers. Company being the name of one of them, and her brother, played by Simon Williams, by the way. And they sort of solve gentle crimes, i.e. a bit of blackmail or a bit of extortion, that sort of thing. That's rather nice and charming, actually. And Douglas did 2 of them. Well, the IMDb doesn't list the programme properly, so that wasn't much good. So don't trust the IMDb, at least as far as it goes. But the 2 Kaleidoscope books on ITV and BBC Drama, they help fill up the gaps. And when I finally got to see Douglas Camfield's actual scrapbook, which contained all his Radio Times and TV Times cuttings, I discovered I hadn't missed anything. Because he was a director, a freelance director. He could have directed adverts, or he could have directed educational films, that sort of thing, which doesn't show up on these sort of databases. So once I was satisfied I got more or less a complete list, and Douglas, of course, once said that he directed over 150, 160 productions. That includes things like episode 1 of, let's say, Dalek Master Plan. That's a production in his eyes. So you got your list, and then you start to compile a list of people you want to speak with, who are hopefully still alive. And this is the big problem of the Kit Pedler book, was that so many people I wanted to speak to had passed away. As the biographer Roger Lewis once said in his barnstorming Peter Sellers biography so rapidly turns into archaeology, or perhaps history, how about that? With the Kit Pedler book, I wanted to speak to a man called Professor Derek Bryce Smith. Now, I think I've got that name right. He worked at University of Reading, and his major claim to fame was that in the early 70s he was trying to prove that lead in petrol was harmful to the environment, and although a lot of countries had banned lead in petrol, we were continuing to put it in. It wasn't until the late 1990s that lead in petrol was removed, but he was pilloried, absolutely pilloried, for his stance. And he appeared in a show called Controversy. His was the controversial view. In other episodes of Controversy, eugenics was the controversial view. Now think about that. Lead and petrol is the same as eugenics. Kit Pedler, incidentally, spoke in one of those episodes against the notion that a scientist must do his duty to his country and devise the most powerful weapons he possibly can. Now, I emailed Derek Bryce Smith at Reading University. I didn't get a reply, and I thought, oh, never mind. I did a bit of Googling a few months later, when I remembered, and read his obituary. I think he died about a few days before I sent the email. That's heartbreaking, actually. He did actually contribute to Doomwatch in the episode Waiting for a Knighthood, which is about lead and petrol. He was one of the advisors. And they took him seriously. This was post-Kit Pedler Doomwatch as well, and they took him seriously. So well. Now, I met Jogs in Twickenham, East Sheen, that sort of general area. We walked around a park, actually, where his father used to like going. Sometimes to sort of thrash out problems and had to direct something, or just generally just to get stretch your legs. And so he could provide me with a list of friends and family, best he could. What was very gratifying from my point of view, that the people I got in touch with were very, very keen to help in any way they could. That takes a great weight off your mind, because when you're sort of phoning up someone, in my eyes, famous, it's very, very nerve-wracking. Now, as you can tell in this little recorded thing, I'm stuttering and I'm coming out like that, you know? That's how I sound. It's nerves, it's trying to get my words out. So you're trying your best not to do that on the phone. And so the first 5 minutes or so of any interview, this is phone interviews I'm talking about, is absolutely terrifying. But then something wonderful happens. They begin to relax when you're not asking embarrassing questions, and I start to relax, and an interview becomes a conversation, and it's a conversation about someone they loved and admired. It's also lovely that they've actually taken the time and attention to sit down and write out a few ideas and memories before I speak to them. So then, who did I talk to? I'm trying to remember who was the first one I spoke to on the phone now. Do you know, I can't remember actually. It may have been Margot Hayhoe, who was assistant floor manager on a 5-part BBC Two thriller serial, one of the first Douglas did after Doctor Who. Douglas did a whole year's worth of Doctor Who in 1965. He worked on nothing else. And then in 1966 he put his foot down and said, please can I direct something else? So he went next door to another producer called Alan Bromley, and he was given 2 late-night BBC Two thrillers to do. The second one of which was Breaking Point, and that's where Margot Hayhoe comes into it. Now then, I'm sure there was someone before her, but I can't quite recollect. Oh well, never mind, quite immaterial, but I did have a very nice bank holiday Monday. Now, the Saturday before, it was chaos in my house. I had my kids and my then wife's friends' kids around. It was absolutely chaotic and barnstorming. And who should ring but Mr. Barry Cryer, which is everyday occurrence in my house. And of course, I start to panic because I'm thinking, where's my microphone? Oh my God, where's my list of questions? Oh my God, I wasn't even expecting him to phone. Now, I sent him a letter saying, listen, I read an article in The Stage from about 30 years ago, The Stage and Television Today, interviewing Barry Cryer on his 25th anniversary in show business, and he mentions Douglas Camfield. And of course, Barry Cryer is apparently one of these people who will, you know, if he gets a letter, he will phone you back and talk to you. And of course, I'm tripping over my words, and you know, love the guy. And I'm sorry, I haven't a clue. I listened to that, and bless him, he could tell that it was actually chaos where it was. And he said, "Well, look, we don't have to do this now." And so we made arrangements to ring on Monday. Well, come Monday morning, I phoned him up, and he's like, "What?" He said, "Oh, give me 10 minutes." I think, oh dear, this is not very good, is it? Oh dear, have I upset him? Have I sort of woken him up? And then I phoned him up 10 minutes later, and he's lovely. Said he had a heavy night the previous night. And we had a marvellous sort of half an hour, but the phone kept cutting out. But bless his heart, he'd phone back and say, "Is everything all right?" It was a very awkward interview in that respect. But no, he was telling me some wonderful stories about, he knew Douglas as I say, around about 1959 to 1960, they lived together in a bedsit in London. And some very interesting stories. And of course, soon, as happens, we get off the subject and onto other things. That's rather nice. An hour after that, I was interviewing Peter Purvis about his Doctor Who's and a colour test that he did for Douglas. So that was good to hear about that for the first time. And then later on the same day, I was speaking to the son of Walter Randall, who Doctor Who fans will remember as villains in things like the Aztecs and the Crusades, and he was John Pertwee's friend. Now this was his son Clay, who remembered Douglas very, very well. In fact, the Randalls virtually lived with the Camfields. It sounds like they were there every night, really. The Camfields had very much an open house policy. And then the next day, it was Katie Manning. And at the end of the week, called David Tilley, who was an assistant floor manager on a couple of things Douglas did. Now, as I was interviewing him, I got an email telling me that I'd got a job that I had gone for an interview for. Now, when I transcribed Tilley's interview, I did wonder, I wonder if I could hear the point where I'd read that email. I was going, yes! And goodbye, my 2 part-time jobs, and hello, full-time employment. Which, of course, impacted on the book because I didn't have as much time to devote to it as I could have done, and hence why the book took 3 years to do instead of the 2 it should have done. Later in the year, I spoke to Philip Hinchcliffe, who was a joy, and it was nice to get to him to talk about Target, the controversial series that's often maligned because it's like the Sweeney but isn't the Sweeney, and it's only like the Sweeney because it's shot on film. Simple as that. Perhaps the most poignant were the people who have now since died. Robert Banks Stewart, he was absolutely lovely, and Derek Ware, he was one of the ones who I phoned. I got a proper letter from. I don't think he had the internet. I got a letter from him, so I phoned him up just to see if I can arrange when we can actually speak properly. And he said, well, let's do it now. I went, here we go, grab a microphone, help. Oh my word, why didn't I write any questions out in advance of this? And the first question I asked was about Z-Cars. Because I once read somewhere that the first time he had worked with Douglas, it was on Z-Cars, when Douglas was a production assistant. And Derek Ware's organising a pub fight. Anyway, the whole point was, so I said to Derek, so tell me about Z-Cars. Now, Derek thought I wanted him to tell him about the history of Z-Cars. Well, that was rather handy because it gave me a chance to sort of get my various recorders and things set up and sort of find a quiet spot in the house to do this. And it was, again, a very lovely interview. And we had a couple of letters after that. He was writing his own autobiography, oh well. One last story I will tell before wrapping this up, because I'm running out of time. Douglas joined the BBC in 1955 as a trainee assistant film editor. He started on the same day as 4 other people, 2 of whom became future film directors. One was Jack Gold, and the other guy was Michael Tuckner. Now, I'd found a way of contacting Jack Gold, but a few weeks later I got a phone call from Michael Tuckner, who I hadn't been able to track down. Now, this was an absolute bolt out of the blue. Again, scramble for the recorders and the microphones and think, what do I ask him? And he explained that Jack Gold was ill, but his daughter Denise had sent my email to Michael to say, well, look, you're contemporaries, can you help him? So we spoke about the early days of BBC and Lime Grove, and then I was getting up the IMDb as I was talking to him, and I noticed that he had been working at Pinewood Studios on The Hunchback of Notre Dame in 1981, at the same time Douglas was directing for the same company, Ivanhoe. Now, what are the chances of that? I had never made that connection. And so here I was, making that connection with Michael Tuckner, live on air, as it were. Well, it wasn't until about an hour or 2 after we'd stopped talking that I suddenly thought, I remember that Hunchback of Notre Dame, because it quite affected me at the time. It was shown around about 1982, and it starred Anthony Hopkins as Quasimodo. and it was a really miserable, depressing programme. And if you know The Hunchback of Notre Dame, it doesn't end well for anybody, frankly. I can't quite remember if the ending matched the book, but Quasimodo's "Why?" echoed. Absolutely haunted me. So there you go. Well, unfortunately, I haven't got time to tell you about the time I went to visit John Levine. He was one of the few people I actually went to meet in person, because he was quite an important character in Douglas's life, and he's almost family. So I felt he warranted a personal visit, which I did, and it was quite good fun, actually. I visited him the day after I'd saw Jogs and gone through a box of personal papers of his father's, where we were finally able to sort out his ancestry, which Jogs had never realised before was actually in existence. You see, Douglas had been adopted when he was a baby by the Camfields, and so his real surname was something completely different. And of course, when Douglas died, Jogs was of an age where he wasn't, you know, when you're a teenager, you're not really interested in your own parents' ancestry and things like that. And so it wasn't until he got this box of papers, which he retrieved from his mother's house after she died, and he just stuffed it in his attic and never really looked at it until that day that I came round, and there it was. It was quite moving, actually. Oh, this was such a complicated life to research. It really was. Kit Pedler, you know, that was a breeze compared to Douglas Camfield. It really was. Anyway, I think I've spoken long enough now. Sorry for rambling on a bit. I'm not quite used to this sort of structured speaking. Next time I shall write out a script, if there is a next time. I shall write out a script and declaim loudly into this microphone on my laptop, which unfortunately is all I've got. So I bid you good evening, wherever you are. This is Michael Seeley, speaking from Norwich. Bye-bye. And next on Radio 4, some other tosser talks.
Tonight at 10:30, the Sweeney, out for revenge.
Lion has got to be nailed now. How about Jack Regan?
Jack Regan?
There's nothing terribly wrong with revenge being harnessed to justice.
How are you going to split that little firm up? Go on, admit it, you haven't got the faintest idea.
Listen, for the first time in my life, I've been given a free hand. Okay, let's go.
Regan and Carter go undercover in the Sweeney. Tonight at 10:30 on Thames.
Thank you very much to Michael Seeley for that fascinating piece. I wanted to hear more,
yes,
frankly.
Thank you, Michael Seeley. You can come back again, please, and do something else.
We would highly recommend his book, which hopefully will be out by the end of May. That's the plan, as we understand it at the moment.
If it goes back, it's still worth buying.
But it's still available for pre-order.
Yes.
And it's from www.milkpublishing.com. Milk spelled M-I-W-K.
Yeah.
Not milk.
No.
So milkpublishing.com/store. And then the book you're looking for is Directed by Douglas Camfield.
By Michael Seeley.
By Michael Seeley, with a nice picture of Douglas as the Doctor as he appeared in Brain and Morbius.
Brain and Morbius.
Yes. I mean, Michael's been sort of supporting round the archives.
He has.
From the very beginning.
Yes. So that's another reason we
one of our loyal listeners.
Thank
you. Speaking of which, we are now available on iTunes.
Yes. Hello to all the people that have subscribed on iTunes. And I hope you're enjoying it.
Yes, we've only been up there a couple of days.
Yes.
And blimey.
Got quite a lot of listeners already.
We seem to have stirred some interest there. So I think Canada is our new country for this issue. Okay. So that's very nice. So 525 line NTSC Canada. Not that it is these days, probably. But,
I don't know.
What other bits and bobs? Stackton Trestle. I got slightly confused. In the fiction of Dear Ladies and the radio series, Stackton Trestle is in Suffolk, but Dear Ladies filming took place in Cheshire, in Knutsford, Great Budworth and Nantwich.
Right. I have to say, Maud's accent doesn't sound like a Suffolk accent.
No.
It sounds like your typical yokel accent.
Yeah. But
so sort of West Country.
Well, really. Yes, I don't know.
It's definitely not like a Suffolk accent.
Mummerset, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Mummerset.
It's your sort of standard
yokel.
Standard accent.
Yeah.
Peter Ridsdale Scott. I think I mispronounced it. I think I said Ridsdale Scott, but Peter Ridsdale Scott and Mike Stevens also worked together on Cheggers Plays Pop.
Okay, that's different.
That was pointed out by the enigmatic Higgins.
Oh, thank you, Higgins.
Who never misses a trick on our Facebook. The Dear Ladies YouTube site,
which is well worth a look,
which is very interesting, has got things like their appearance on Give Us a Clue, which is very funny.
It is.
I've got a frame here. Dame Hilda goes up for a clue, and it's the clue she has to mime is, why can't a woman be more like a man? And she gives Parkinson such a look at that point, and he grins back. The caption writer's got slightly overexcited because he's put, why can't a woman be more like a man?
Perhaps he's doing it in her voice.
I don't know, he's put two eyes in the word like.
Fell off the sofa.
What are you doing?
The flying squad fell off the sofa.
The flying squad's fallen off our sofa. We've got a big sofa. Thanks also to Paul Dunford for sending us some photographs of the Dear Ladies.
Yes, which are up on our wall.
And we've put them up on the wall underneath Doctor Who and the Dinosaur Invasion, signed by Chris Achilleos, and above Roger Bunce and Clive Doig. So we've got a very interesting wall there now.
We have.
With all sorts of things on it. Was there
and
some
we should
more
mention as well that it's just coming up to the 15th anniversary of Patrick Fyfe's death.
Yes, as we record
this on the 7th of May.
Yeah, I think Patrick
it's on
Fyfe
Thursday.
Passed away on the 11th of May,
which is
2002.
So it's the 50th anniversary this Thursday.
You know, I think we should just pause and I think we'd like to dedicate this whole issue to Patrick, because we've been again zooming through the radio stuff in the last sort of few weeks. We sort of took a trip to Salisbury, and they sort of accompanied us there and back.
Yes, we listened to the cat duet, which we can't listen to
at home
the
cat duet,
because the cats get upset.
Yes, the cats look for where the cats are, so it must sound like real cats.
It must sound like real cats, yes. Yeah, I think it's all the yowling at each other that does it.
Also on the Dear Ladies YouTube was a fascinating 25-minute piece recorded at Pebble Mill. And this has piqued our interest from an archive point of view, because it appears to be a studio tape.
Yes.
Because you've got things like the sort of floor manager coming on,
moving stuff
with his sort of headphones on. You've got the audience having to clap and then clap and then clap again.
Clap again several times.
There's cameras focusing all over the place.
Yeah. And
it appears it's not Pebble Mill at 1.
No,
because if you look outside,
it appears to be dark outside.
It appears to be dark, and our guess, or rather the guess of the enigmatic Higgins, is that it might be from Saturday Night at the Mill, which would make it about 1976-77.
So it's very early on in the actual history.
You can't find an actual broadcast for this episode. And there was, he says, a standby episode recorded in case something went drastically wrong one night, and they could just shove the standby episode on. But if anyone with sort of archive links can find out anything more about this,
please let us know.
Anyone that knows about sort of Pebble Mill and Saturday Night at the Mill, this could be worth looking at just from an archive point of view. Because it's definitely taken from a studio tape, because the quality's very good.
Yes.
But I've never really seen any studio stuff from Pebble Mill, because of course most of it would have gone out live.
Gone out live, yeah.
So that's interesting. So anyone that is interested and can help, all information gratefully received on that one. But I found that really, really interesting. What is there anything else to say, or is that it for the links
section?
Yes, so we're now going to go into our final article.
Yes, you're only getting 2 this time.
Yes, with Michael and Fiona providing so much good stuff, we didn't have so much to do this time.
No. Not that we've been lazy, because there's an awful lot of research gone into
We've done a lot of research for what's coming up next. Well, you have.
Me.
You've been reading books all over the place.
I've been reading books.
So we're going to do the Sweeney.
Yes, we are.
Okay, and let's have another trailer, and then we'll come back and we'll do the piece. See you in a second.
Okay.
Over the past 20 years, crime on the streets of Britain has escalated alarmingly. The public are calling for a return to the heyday of the 1970s, when an unrelenting, merciless police force caught violent perpetrators at any cost. The time has come.
Come out with your hands on your heads.
They'll never take it. I find Regan undisciplined, irresponsible, too emotional.
John Thor as Jack Reagan. Dennis Waterman as George Carter.
You vulgar little man.
Oh, tell me.
Who are you?
We're the Sweeney, son, and we haven't had any dinner.
The Sweeney, this Monday at 9 on 5. Watch it.
That bloke says Reagan.
He does. It's not Reagan. It's Regan.
So weirdly, there was a Doctor Who magazine in 1982 which was talking to Janet Fielding, and they start asking her questions about Tegan, but there's a misprint, and at one point they ask her about the character development of Regan. Okay. So it's like they're asking her questions about the Sweeney.
Okay.
No wonder Janet Fielding was confused.
You still look like John Sorrell.
No. Do you think that announcer sounds a bit like Philip Glenister?
I think it does.
Yeah.
But, either that or he's seen that and that inspired his voice for Life on Mars and Ashes to Ashes.
But yeah, I mean, the Sweeney, yes. Right. The Sweeney.
Yes.
Cop series, ITV, mid-70s, made by Euston Films.
Euston Films, yes.
Created by?
Originally created by Ian Kennedy Martin.
Yes.
In so much that he wrote a one-off... Well, it was a one-off play, but even when he wrote the one-off play, they had decided that it was pretty good and they would take it to series if it did well. For Armchair Theatre. Yes. Called Regan.
Not Reagan.
Not Reagan. And after he'd written it and he'd handed it in and they were getting into pre-production, he had a falling out.
With
Ted Childs, who is the producer. And Douglas Camfield.
Oh, who was going to direct it?
Who was going to direct it originally and ended up not directing it. It's ended up being directed by Tom Clegg.
Right.
Who does a lot of the episodes for the series. Mostly because Ian Kennedy Martin insists he wanted to put gang rape in it.
Okay.
Ted Charles thinks that he just wanted to put more violence in it. And that maybe they wanted to change some lines and things. So Ian Kennedy Martin didn't actually get involved in the series as such. But if you watch The Sweeney, he's credited on every single episode.
As creator,
on a screen of his own. And he gets royalties from it.
Ooh.
So the fact that he didn't... Good going. Yes, he didn't actually do anything for the series as such, but he gets money from it anyway.
Oh. Hurrah.
So, yes.
But it's based around the Flying Squad, isn't it? And you've been...
I've been doing a little bit of research about the Flying Squad.
Normally we sort of ask Warren about
our police
about this.
Authority.
But Warren's on holiday, isn't he?
Yes, he's not available at the moment.
He's off doing secret things.
He's doing secret things. Yes, he's undercover.
More from him later.
Yes.
But tell us about the formation of the Flying Squad.
In October or November 1918, I think it's October, just before the armistice was signed for the First World War, Chief Inspector Frederick Wensley, who even to this day is apparently a very respected detective because he had a very high arrest rate, and he was involved when he was a PC in the hunt for Jack the Ripper. So it shows you how far he goes back. He called some detectives in because he'd worked out that with the war coming to an end, obviously a lot of men would be coming back, and they might find, rather than looking for a job, because there probably weren't going to be that many jobs, that a life of crime was what they wanted to go for. So they wanted a squad to combat that. So the Flying Squad was specially set up with officers that could blend in with villains to find things out. And basically they did that with informants. Initially they went in amongst the villains and sort of undercover. And they managed to get lots of results, and crime went up and then it went back down again.
But by the time of the mid-70s, though, there's a bit of controversy, isn't there?
They were in a bit of trouble. There is two more things I just want to say about the Flying Squad's early days.
Oh, yes.
In the sort of 20s and 30s, in hot weather, they could take their jackets off,
Ooh.
but they couldn't wear their braces without their jacket on.
Oh, right.
So if they took their jacket off, because apparently gentlemen did not sit in cars wearing braces.
Well, I don't.
So
I don't wear braces.
So they could take their jackets off, but they had to take their braces off. Whether that meant their trousers fell down, I don't know.
Yeah, so Bobby Ball
could not be a flying squad officer, no.
If he took his jacket off.
If he took his jacket off. Yeah. Yeah. There was also a car chase in about 1930 that is worthy of the Sweeney itself, because they followed a gang that were going to do a smash and grab, I think it was, and the cars they had then were getting faster. They started off with horse-drawn wagons, and by this point they've got sort of almost racing cars, and they managed to pull level with the van they were chasing. One of the policemen jumped across and jumped onto the running board of the van and got his arms around the neck of the driver trying to get him to stop. One of the other villains in the van hit him on. They hit him with I don't know if it was an iron bar or a cosh or something, and kept they managed to get him off the van, and he fell into the road. The driver driving the car managed to avoid him because they always have specialised drivers for Flying Squad. Flying Squad officers do not drive themselves. They have a driver who's usually not a uniform policeman, not in uniform, but a policeman that's got to a certain level of driving. So yeah, that's, if you think that's in 1930, and that's the sort of thing they'd be doing in the Sweeney in sort of the mid-70s.
Oh, I did like one picture that was in your book. Oh, what books were you consulting, by the way?
What books am I consulting? I have been consulting Sweeney, the Official Companion by Robert Fairclough and Mike Kenwood.
Yeah.
The Flying Squad, which is a book written by Neil Derbyshire and Brian Hillard. Mm-hmm. It's quite old now, actually.
That's the book with the photo of the radio car in it, which I liked.
Yeah, with a big aerial on the top of it.
It's like this sort of van with a flat
with a bedstead
roof
on top of it.
And the aerial is like this sort of big sort of grid of metal.
Yeah. And there is another book, but I have that on as an electronic book, and I don't have that to hand. But that's if you just type the Sweeney in, you'll find that one. That's quite an interesting one as well. Apparently, Rob Fairclough helped with that.
Yeah, but let's jump forward to mid-70s now.
Yeah, well, 1972 it was.
All right, okay.
1972. So Robert Mark becomes Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police, and immediately decides that there's an awful lot of corruption. Yeah, which there was apparently. Because
is this with the sort of links with the sort of criminal fraternity?
Yes, because they'd been so close to the criminal fraternity trying to find out what crimes they were going to do. Sometimes they got a little bit too close. And there'd been a Sunday Times story in 1969 about the drug squad, and a couple of officers went to prison for it, but they didn't actively look at that time for any more corruption. But when he came in, now bearing in mind he'd come from outside of London, so he was already regarded with suspicion. Yeah. Because anybody from outside London was a carrot cruncher. Apparently. That's now I am quoting. And he was regarded with suspicion. But he initiated the corruption inquiry, which would lead to an awful lot of Flying Squad officers retiring early or leaving in disgrace. It also did lead to some people who weren't corrupt leaving. Apparently it led to one suicide, which is not good. But it happened because of a Commander Kenneth Drury, who had gone on holiday with a pawn baron. Okay. Who had paid for the holiday. Right. When he was found out, he said he'd gone on holiday with him to try and find Ronnie Biggs. Now, bearing in mind he went to Spain and Ronnie Biggs was in Brazil at the time, I'm not sure how credible that is. But the pawn baron wasn't happy anyway. Yeah. James Humphreys, his name was, because it made him out to be a grass. Okay. And being grass in that kind of criminal fraternity, having your name out there, is not good. Yeah. So anyway, into this situation, there's a lot of corruption going on. Ian Kennedy Martin thought it would be interesting to look at a policeman. Yeah. Now, I just have to say, Jack Reagan's not corrupt. No. He doesn't do stuff by the book necessarily, but basically at heart, he's an honest policeman. Yeah. He always wants to get the villain.
Now, the name Sweeney, of course, comes from
Sweeney Todd. Flying Squad. Which is
Cockney rhyming slang.
Yeah, because they go fast.
Yes. Who are the main characters and
the main character,
actors then.
Jack Regan
is
obviously played by John Thorne, who at the time was only 35.
You're right.
Ish.
But
he looked
Does he look
a lot
older?
older.
All right, okay.
Yeah.
It's the 70s. You always say that about 70s
but,
people.
Apparently John Thorne always looked older.
Okay.
Even when he was a teenager, he looked older than he actually was. So you've obviously also got Dennis Waterman as his sergeant, George Carter.
Dennis Waterman's already been acting for quite a long point.
Yeah, he's
just William.
Yes, he started acting when he was about 11, I think.
Right.
So that would be 50s-ish.
Well, Dennis Waterman was born, let's see when he was born, 1948.
All right, so about 1959 then.
So his first role is in 1960.
Yeah.
Night Train for
Inverness.
Inverness.
He played a diabetic child.
Yes. But yeah, he's just William in 1962, I think.
Yeah.
Round about then. Yes. So yes, he's been acting for quite a while already.
Some time, yes. No wonder he's a little bit grumpy sometimes.
Oh.
And small.
And who's their boss?
Who's their boss? Garfield Morgan, who plays Inspector Frank Haskins, who does stuff by the book, but will back them up.
Now, as you said a few issues ago, he also pops up in a very small part in Zedcar's Friday Night.
Friday Night. On the other side of the law.
Yes.
Because he plays the drunk driver.
Yes. So
there
you go. But you've got the entire set of the Sweeney and the big,
not in Blu-ray, just
big box. I mean, it's shot on 16mm film, and it looks good.
Yeah.
It's Euston Films, which are Thames Television's sort of film division. But there's something like 53 episodes according to this, and they're 50 minutes long.
Yeah.
Obviously a lot of outside film work.
Outside film work.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it shifts along, doesn't it?
It does.
It's very much sort of action based.
Yes.
It's not a series I particularly know anything much about, so I'm deferring to you very much on this one. But we wanted to look at some Douglas Camfield stuff from series that we didn't necessarily know that well. Yes, I absolutely love his Doctor Who work, and Seeds of Doom is one of my favourite stories. Scared me as a child, and thank you to everybody involved in that story, because it's just such a wonderful story. But Douglas Camfield directs a few Sweeney episodes,
but he doesn't start until series 2.
Okay, and these are series 2 that we're looking at. Now, what's your...
There is one other thing, a couple of other things I have to say.
Okay.
At the wrap party for series 1, Douglas Camfield was invited because he was a friend of Ted Child's.
Yeah.
So even though they ended up not directing anything for series 1 or the pilot, they obviously wanted him to do series 2, and they were starting series 2 at that point, starting to prepare for series 2. So he was invited to the end of season party. And Lloyd Shirley, who's I don't know if you'd describe him as the executive producer or the head of drama at Thames, at Euston Films, was a Canadian.
Right.
I think he was possibly brought in by Sidney Newman when he was at ITV. But he had a reputation for liking drink.
Okay. Well, good.
Yeah, but maybe to more of a excess than anybody else. And Douglas Camfield was at the party. He was sitting on some stairs and he was strumming his guitar, which apparently he was quite talented at.
Yes.
And Lloyd Shirley walked up to him, a few sheets to the wind, and said, I quote, I apologise for this.
It's all right, I'm going to bleep this out, so you can say it.
You can't direct, and you can't play the guitar.
Okay.
To which Douglas Camfield replies, I came here for a drink, not to audition. I would also say Lloyd Shirley also nearly attacked a writer.
Yeah.
One of the writers was standing talking to his girlfriend, and Lloyd Shirley launched himself at him, only to be tackled by Ted Charles, who was apparently substantially smaller than he, and being dragged into Ted Charles' office to calm down. So...
I see you've written down "Get your trousers on your knicked."
Yes, which was apparently said.
That's a catchphrase used in the series.
I think it's actually used in Regan.
Yeah, all right.
So it's not actually used in the series as such. You've got "We're the Sweeney Son and we haven't had any dinner."
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently Ian Kennedy Martin had a contact in the flying squad, and apparently it was actually really used by him.
Yeah.
When
that's a real phrase.
It's a real phrase.
I just want to say at this point that the theme tune, because there's two theme tunes. There's the fast theme tune at the start, and then the slow
sad,
version,
melancholy one for the end.
Everybody who's died in the episode.
Not everybody,
but yeah, it's a reflective version.
It is, yes.
But the opening titles, which I'm going to attempt to do here, is one of those shows where it sings the theme tune. It sings the name of the series in the theme tune.
It's not even written by Ronnie Hazelhurst.
I was going to say Ronnie Hazelhurst does this a lot. You know, the last of the summer wine and all that.
Yes.
But the Sweeney does do it. So here's my attempt at the Sweeney.
Okay.
Ready? Are you ready for this?
No.
The Sweeney, it's the Sweeney. That's the name of the show, you see. It's the Sweeney. The Sweeney. Just so that you know. And yeah. Okay, sorry. I just wanted to do that. I spent a lot of time queuing it up just to be at the right point so I could press the button. Okay. But the two episodes we have watched, getting on to Douglas finally.
Yeah, finally.
Are Stay Lucky A.
Yes.
And
that's written by Trevor Preston, who created Ace of Wands.
And Thou Shalt Not Kill by Ranald Graham.
Yeah.
Right. So
who was the writer that Lloyd Shirley nearly attacked?
Yes. So transmissions. Stay Lucky A is 27th of October 1975.
Yeah.
Which is episode 9. Thou Shalt Not Kill is episode 13.
Yep.
As we said, this is series 2.
But apparently
24th of November 1975.
Thou Shalt Not Kill was meant to be after Stay Lucky A.
So it meant to be episode 10.
It meant to be episode 10, but there was it deals with the bank raid, the episode.
Well, we'll talk
and there
about
must have been there must have been some sort of incident because ITV.
So Trojan Bus becomes episode 10.
Trojan Bus, featuring Patrick Mower and George Layton.
But Stay Lucky A, first of all. Let's look at that one. And it's this game you can play. Can you tell it's a Douglas Camfield episode?
Yeah.
Well, the answer with both of them is yes.
Yes.
They're all very, very precisely shot.
Yeah.
The framing, because there's this opening shot, I think, of Stay Lucky A, where the camera's very low down. I think there's some milk bottles or something.
Low down. Yeah.
And then the car sort of drives in. But it's this thing you've got with Douglas that the camera's always on the move. It's very fast.
Yeah.
And there's just, to quote Graham Harper, energy and pace, isn't there?
Yeah.
But Stay Lucky A is. What's the plot of this one?
There's
a robbery.
A robbery, yeah.
The Flying Squad deals with a lot of bank robberies and things like that. Yes.
Yeah. There's been a robbery.
Yeah.
And then the robbers get robbed.
Yes.
And one of the robbers gets shot.
Yeah.
One of the robbers is Alan Armstrong.
Yes. Looking quite young.
Looking very young. And the other one is Paul Moriarty.
Yes.
And they get shot by. They get robbed. And Alan Armstrong gets shot because they fight back.
Yeah.
So they're doing it with the backing of Peter Vaughan's character.
Yes, I was going to say Peter Vaughan playing a sort of
early Grouty.
He's playing Grouty again, really, isn't he? But his henchman is our friend John Challis again.
Yes. And you're marvellous, John.
Yes.
You do it very well.
He's got a brilliant 70s shirt on.
Shirt. Yeah.
But
needed sunglasses for that one.
But John, bless you, beating people up.
Yeah, we can't take it seriously, John, sorry. It's because you're a very nice man. And we know you're a very nice man. But
yes, you've got Grouty and Boise as the
main
villains,
sort of villains.
Which is a wonderful combination.
But you also get Ray Barron in there.
Ray Barron's in it, who's Sergeant Henderson in The Seeds of Doom.
Yeah.
And you've got John Woodnut from Terror of the Zygons.
Yes.
John Woodnut, and we'll come back to this right at the end of the episode. John Woodnut, I did meet in Exeter at an Exospace convention with our friend Nick, and we managed to get John Woodnut to do his version of the Doctor Who theme tune. he was sitting next to Terence Dicks, and we'll play this later. But he's got a Zygon head in his hand, wobbling it around and going lom 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 lom. And Terence Dicks is highly amused. Yeah. But we'll play that later. But he's playing a sort of drunken doctor, isn't he?
Yeah, he's been disbarred from, or he was in the army. He's been disbarred from being a doctor because he's an alcoholic.
Yeah. You've got Michael Ripper in there as well.
Yeah, Michael Ripper.
Well known for sort of Hammer films and things like that.
I mean, he looks really haunted. He's got one of those faces that looks like he's seen something awful. You know.
But he's got this sort of radio that he's very proud of that gets shot, doesn't he?
It does, yeah.
And I think the radio seems to crop up in...
Yeah, it pops up again
in
later.
the next episode.
Yeah.
In
the
Thou
next
Shalt Not
Douglas Camfield one.
Thou Shalt Not Skill, Thou Shalt Not Kill. Clearly... they liked this radio. Yeah, so it looks a bit like a TARDIS tuner, actually.
Oh, okay.
It's sort of square and boxy in the 70s. No, it's not. But yeah, it's a fun episode. It's not too violent, actually.
No.
I was surprised because I've got this thing in my head that the Sweeney's very, very violent.
Well, it normally is. This is a bit of an atypical episode.
Yeah, but it's balanced with humour as well. I think. So I think I enjoyed it more than I.
You thought you were going to.
Thought. So yeah, I'm quite on board with the Sweeney at the moment. Actually, so
we'll have to watch some more.
So yeah, I think we will. But let's jump ahead now to Thou Shalt Not Kill.
Yes.
Now what's this one about?
It's about a bank raid.
Another bank raid.
Well, as you said, they deal with a lot of bank raids.
Yes.
Basically, the robbers. The getaway driver or the Stoppo driver, as apparently they are known in the underworld, in the villains sort of world. That was really
I like you waving your hands at that point.
That doesn't really work on audio. Yeah. Drives away, so they take hostages.
All right.
They take the bank manager hostage.
Who is?
Hubert Reese.
Also from the Seeds of Doom. Yes, you can tell these are Douglas ones.
Harriet Philbin, who's in Genesis of the Daleks.
Yeah.
And another lady.
Blake Seven.
And Blake Seven.
Yeah.
And another lady who's never been in Doctor Who as far as I know.
You're right.
So basically it turns into, what do you do?
Yeah.
Do you try and kill the robbers?
Yeah.
Oh, Ronald Lacey's in it.
Ronald Lacey.
Ronald Lacey and Dean,
who we saw a while ago in Sergeant Court.
And
Stuart McGugan.
Oh yeah, as
a marksman, isn't he, or something?
And Dean Harris, who I believe is the conductor in Greatest Show in the Galaxy.
Oh, is he?
I think so.
Oh, okay. I'll look that up.
So yeah, so basically, and it's quite tense at times. You know, they really rack it up the tension.
Yeah.
And there are several points where they could kill the robbers because they have a clean shot on them.
Yeah.
But they don't.
Okay.
They get away and they take their hostages with them, and it doesn't really end very well. I think I'm actually mistaken. I think it was Dean Hollingsworth.
Yes, so, yes. I was just going to say, it's not.
I'm just getting confused.
Yeah, Dean Hollingsworth is.
So just ignore that bit.
Okay.
But yeah. So that one's a little bit more violent. There's some car chases.
But where's this one filmed?
Stunt. It was filmed at Bristol University because they needed a bank, and the police weren't happy about them filming in London in public.
Yeah.
So basically, they went to Bristol University and they were able to film on the campus, and that was private land.
Yeah.
Because basically, they did all their sort of action bits on private land.
You do have this problem that when you're trying to film something like the Sweeney, which is lots and lots of guns and things like that. Yeah. Now, what's the story about the?
When they were filming the second Sweeney film,
yes,
it's got a gold shotgun in it, a gold Purdy. It's meant to be, but apparently Purdy, the gun maker's Purdy, wouldn't make one, so it's a Beretta.
Yes,
I think I remember that correctly. And there was a scene where one of the robbers drops it because they crash into a shopping centre. And he drops the gun. And the director, Tom Clegg, who's done a lot of the series episodes, decided he wanted a few pickup shots of the gun being dropped and whatever. So they did that. And unfortunately, the licence had run out for the gun. So really, they shouldn't have had it out in the public. Also, the armourer wasn't on set.
Yeah.
He had gone to put a bet on a horse.
Okay, but you do.
Yeah, you do. The stunt coordinator wouldn't touch it, because it wasn't licensed.
Right.
So the first AD, Bill Wesley, who was known as being a great practical joker, and couldn't remember anybody's names.
That's quite common in showbiz. That's why people call each other darling.
I think he called John for Curly.
All right.
And I don't know, or Smiler or something ridiculous. But anyway, he picked up the gun and immediately got arrested by a rookie PC who was standing watching for having an unlicensed firearm and taken off to the police station and left there for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
As they thought it was quite funny.
But yeah, I mean, waving weapons around in public when you're trying to film stuff, you've got to be careful.
Yes.
As somebody sitting on this sofa might be able to tell you, mightn't they, Lisa?
They might, yes.
Go on, tell us about your weaponry.
Oh well, I did a film for Nick.
Run Faster Than the World
about 23 years ago now, which is quite scary.
That's the one with the shot of the
of Scotland
Yard sign going round.
Yes. And I was playing. How should we say? A tart with a heart, shall we say? And it was set slightly in the future, I think. And
what was your costume? You had some boots, didn't you?
I had some lace-up boots, flat lace-up boots and a shortish skirt. And I'd...
shortish
skirt. I was supposed to have a knife in my boot, but I had this sort of... one of those knives that you could get for kids, so it went back into the blade. Yeah, it was a really wobbly thing. But we were just about to film a scene, Paul and I, where I'm supposed to pull it on him, and a policeman came along the street and he's going, put it back in your boot, put it back in your boot. Yes, I mean, it was a really rubbish knife anyway.
Didn't Paul? You said Paul had a better knife.
Paul had a better knife later on. Yeah, he had a sort of huge, but that was filmed in Salisbury, and it was filmed somewhere where
any policeman.
They could get away with filming it. Yeah. If you see the scene, it looks very nasty. That knife. Yeah. I don't think we did much close-ups on my one because
yours was a bit too wobbly.
A bit too wobbly and a bit too rubbish. Yes, that's my weapon story.
But yes, anything more to say about Thou Shalt Not Kill? Nicholas McArdle's in it. Nick Brimble.
Nicholas McArdle, Nick Brimble was a policeman.
Yes.
Nicholas McArdle's a policeman.
But anything else on that one?
Nothing on that one. Just another thing to say about the Sweeney as a whole.
Okay.
They didn't really, obviously in the 70s, you didn't get trailers and things.
No.
So they changed in pub toilets.
Right.
Their editing suite was in the Euston Films headquarters, and apparently there was a bath in there. So the editor would quite often find themselves editing an episode of the Sweeney where one of the technicians had a bath and farted in the bath and did all this sort of stuff.
It's all right, I won't put any sound effects on for that at that point.
And there's also a thing of David Wicks, who's a director for the Sweeney. He directed quite a few episodes, and he directs an episode for series 1. And I think he's in From the Cold, and he does one scene in one shot.
Oh right, okay.
It's about a 3 or 4, maybe a 5-minute scene, and apparently when they're planning it and the camera's going, so we're going to cut it there.
That's really ambitious doing it on film. Yeah.
Then the camera was going, so we're going to cut it there. He's like, no,
we'll keep going.
And they did have to do it twice because something went wrong the first time, but they did it.
Right.
So they had to map it out, and the cameraman followed John Thor and the other an actress, I think it was, around, and they did it. They did it in one shot. So I think that was just worth mentioning because that's an extraordinary thing to do on film.
Very quickly. Some other bits and pieces. You've got a Sweeney CD.
We have got a Sweeney CD, which Robert Fairclough and Mike Kenwood had a hand in helping do, and
you got some annuals as well.
Got some annuals, but the CD has got the Thames sting on it.
Okay,
you can tell a true fan when you put the Thames.
You start
sting
with
as
the
first track.
Thames thing. Yes. Yeah. But the annuals are quite interesting. They've got some sort of production photos and little sort of interviews
and interviews with the stars
in bits and pieces. Yeah. In true annuals, I mean, Sweeney annual strikes me as quite a weird thing.
It is quite a weird thing, yeah.
Because it's sort of, is it aimed at like older boys? I presume.
I don't know what it's aimed at because you can't make it too violent because.
But there is a little race game in one of them, isn't it?
Right? Yeah.
But there's the Sweeney crossword which amused me because all of the clues and answers they're things like truncheon, cosh, handcuff, waterman. masks, John Thor. And then 27 across, the answer is onion.
Yeah, that's right. That one's the Cockney rhyming slang.
Yeah. But it's almost
like they ran out of ideas.
Yeah, like they painted themselves into a corner and can't do any more Sweeney words. Yeah. Oh, onion. That'll do. No one will notice. But yeah, so I think we'll wrap it up there.
But yeah, it's well worth watching. Those episodes are worth watching. And the first and second series of the Sweeney are out on Blu-ray if you want to watch it in super high quality.
Yes, indeed. But yeah, I was surprised how much I enjoyed them, because I sort of went into the going, I'm not sure. No. Not sure it's my sort of thing.
No, because I think you thought it was going to be too violent.
Yeah, but there's enough humour in there to balance it for me. So I'm really rather impressed. So we'll leave it there, I think, and we'll just come back with John Woodnutt's Doctor Who theme arrangement, and then we'll tie up the issue and think about issue 10.
Yeah. Wow.
Amazed we're going to get to issue 10, but we've got some old friends coming back for that one.
Yes.
Thank you to everyone who's already helped. So we'll see you in a second.
Okay.
Ta-ra.
Bye-bye.
As mentioned, here's John Woodnutt's attempt at the Doctor Who theme, with a bit of added Terence Dicks in the background. Our thanks to Nick Goodman for allowing us to use this recording. Thank you.
Sinister stuff on here.
Mix some music.
Don't say that.
We don't.
No, we don't. This is Groovy, done on a limited budget. This is done on a limited budget.
Well, that's just about it for this issue.
Bless you.
Oh, thank you, dear. Now, did you want to go to the shops for your gin?
I thought you said that the car was at the garage being mended.
Well, it is, dear, but I'm sure young Mr. Warren will gladly give us a lift.
What? In his police car?
Well, it wouldn't be the first time you'd been in the back of a police car, would it, dear? But no, I meant in his sweet little Mini.
I hope you're referring to his car and not his skirt. Anyway, you know I have terrible trouble getting in and out of the back seat.
Hang on, I'll phone him. Hello, Warren dear, how are you? Oh, you didn't? Out of a tree? Whilst chasing ne'er-do-wells? In Norwich? Oh, how painful. Well, how long will you be in the plaster for? Oh, all right, dear. Well, remember to keep applying the ointment then. Bye-bye, dear. Bye-bye.
I take it he can't give us a lift, then?
No. On reflection, I think we'd better take the bus.
That was episode 9 of Round the Archives, starring Andrew Trowbridge and Lisa Parker, with Fiona Allen, Warren Cummings and Michael Seeley.
Thanks also to Nick Goodman, the enigmatic Iggins, Paul Dunford, and the members of the Stackton Trestle Archive Appreciation Society for their contribution.
On the musical side, you heard Dan Tate and Paul Chandler.
The script for the Sweeney Stay Lucky A was by Trevor Preston, and Thou Shalt Not Kill was by Ranald Graham.
And the producer was Ted Childs.
I wonder if he's married.
Well, that's just about it for this issue.
Bless you.
Oh, thank you, dear. Now, did you want to go to the shops for your gin?
I thought you said the Gar was... The Gar?
The Gar? He's in Dalek's master plan. Gar's in the garage, along with the missing episode. Oh, we finally got an outtake. I've been waiting for one.
Shall we start that again?
Yes. Yes, dear. As promised, here is John Woodnut doing his arrangement of the Doctor Who title theme tune. I'm going to start that again. That bloke can't pronounce Regan, can he?
No, he can't. He can't. It's not Regan, it's Reagan.
That's what... No,
he says Reagan.
He says Reagan.
No, I can't pronounce it either. Should we start that again?
All right.
That was episode 9 of Round the Archive, starring Andrew Trowbridge and Lisa Parker, with Fiona Allen, Should we do that again?